let's show it in a good understanding format or something. So just for a reference, yesterday also I just open up this log file. But during the test execution, whatever the activities is going out, we want to track those each and every activity in such a way that it will be informative. And by any means, if I want to see like which method get failed or which method get passed or something, then behind it always one log file will gonna be created and updated daily, or depending on the execution date that I want to generate. So one of the framework is designed by one of the student where he has created that Log4j implementation to track like whatever the bunch of methods will have and whatever he is trying to attempt. Let's say even he is trying to attempt the verification of any title or something. Those all activities it has logged with that page of factory concept even as well. So starting with this, if you will see, it is showing the entries, means info. He has made the info level on. Whenever the error will be there, that log will show the error, right? So how to maintain this format? So there are some certain settings that we need to do into the properties file of log4j, but before that, I'm just showing you like whenever it is created, how exactly it will look like. So if you will see here, I'm having one framework of keywords where browser is going to initiate, let's say Chrome. So that information will have during the execution, like executed which method, the version of the Chrome, then the start time. So that was earlier in the 2015, this guy has executed. So that log file is there still. A URL on which he's doing, navigating to the URL, then sending the email credentials and all those. So this is the most detailed things that we can trace by going through the log. Ideally, this guy has enabled info. Rather, you can control that log to show only warnings or errors. But he has made all the log status is available. So I will show that to what are the different types of labels in the log. But see, whenever it is get executed, each and every detail is getting like past year, like even the verification of specific title, tax or something. So also he has just created one screenshots file where if you will see, automatically it has created a bunch of screenshot for his system, like whatever the system on which he is performing the automation. We can see that for every sprint or cycle, he has attempted or he has just passed the screenshot utility so that it is just showing or capturing the screenshot on every page. We can see the date and the test case name is also there. So that is nice that this how we can define the whole complete framework, which gives a higher end visibility to implement such things. Where here we are having the log4j files of that guy. That is actually the properties file. Okay. So what will be the ideal and the basic format that we need to go through so far? And then I will let you know the mine one, which I have bit customized. So this is the way where we can modify its relevant size regarding the set or settings regarding the log4j. But before that, we need to download the log4j file. So go on to the official website of log4j, and then after going on to it, download it. Same like the way by which you are doing it for the other APIs like JXL and Apache PY and others. So click on download. Preferably you will able to see the log4j2 version, which having the zip and the tar both format. You can go with either tar or zip. Once you will download it, you have to extract it, and we need to keep it somewhere the way by which we have configured the other Selenium files. So I have created a separate project where I have not even added any single set of script of Selenium. I have only implemented purely a Java code with a log4j. Okay, so that we'll better have idea like there is not actually having the dependency with the Selenium code, but whatever we are implementing, that is purely in a form of log4j with Java. So over here, if you will see, you will not able to see any other reference libraries except this one. I have used log4j first version. Recently they have launched log4j2, but you have to use the latest one. In my context, I have explicitly added this. Means I have not created a folder and then added it. Somewhere in the folder of testing softwares or something, this file is there, which I configured. Right now, After configuring this, we have to create one single class under the package. So let's say here I have created logging example class. That is fine, but we require to also create a log4j properties file by which we'll do the settings of log to create. So what will be the ideal settings that we have to notify? So the generalized settings that we'll have is, first, what should be the root logger? Means ideally the properties file you do not have to create from the scratch. You will get it from the like external resources, but just for information, like from which specific area, which settings we need to do. It's like setting one of the PHP or a .NET kind of a server files modification or the properties file, the way we are doing it, like creating the host in one of the host file or something. Similarly, these are the log4j properties that we can update it from here, where the first one is what you want to create as a root logger. That should be information only, that should be warning, or that should be a debug level. So here if you will see info, in my case I will just pair up both the log4j file side by side, but right now let's go with each and every factor first. Then file appender. File appender is nothing but what sort of appender that we are actually handling. So there are lot many different types of appenders available, where the default is file appender. Over here if you will see, the appender file is defined as file appender, and it writes the named log.out located in the log directory. So whatever the log directory that will notify, it will create one file named log.out. Okay, so the most generic log4j properties file will is quite very smaller. Just set the root logger, set the appender, and set the layout of that appender. So ideally this layout is also appearing as patent layout, but there are other few layouts available as well. That is HTML layout, XML layout, right? Where you can see, let me show that to you. So under the log formatting, if you will see, we are having the predefined layouts, that is date layout, HTML layout, patent layout, simple layout, and XML layout. Out of that, default one is pattern layout. The last one is, after converting this pattern, what should be the pattern that we want to see in a which format. So %m is nothing but whatever the message we'll get during the log, we are trying to print in a new line character. See, the layout pattern defined is %m%n. That stands for each and every message should be printed in a new line character. Apart from it, we need to also notify a root logger level, either the debug as well. So right now the root logger level was debug X, but if you will see, if you want to append the same file, you can notify as debug file. We need to give the path as well, where we want to create our log.out, and also we have to notify the patent as well. Usually, as I suggested, that a debug level can be of a different. We only need a trace log, either we only need a debugs, either we only need a inform. So far in my example of that which I'm showing, that person has kept info, means it will, that is why showing all the each and every details of the information. Okay, but you can change this as debug, warn, all, fatal, error, whatever you want to see only. So these all are the variety of levels by which we can set the debug level. Appenders, as I suggested, that it is having some certain properties where you can decide the patent layout, HTML layout, the way by which your information is going to be converted. Target is nothing but where you want to see. You want to just track the report from the console. You want to track your results into the file, right? So that decision we can take it from target. Label is nothing but what sort of message you want to see. As I suggested, the debug level, fatal, warn, all, info, those are the labels. Threshold is nothing but we'll try to see the messaging system. So if you will see, I am also setting the threshold, whether it's of a info or debug. So we can set the threshold to the debug mode, whatever you want to put here. Let's say here it's info. Here also I have notified info. Whatever the appender that we earlier used of file, should I have to overwrite on every attempt? If you want to, you can make it true, else false. The maximum size of file whenever this log4j file is going to be created, that you can also limit it over here. That is 3 MB or KB or something. The date pattern, the way by which you want to see the execution going out, and then you want to see that message available over there. That is year, date, month, year, month, date, and AM and PM. All right. So these are the basic settings that is required, and then on a basis, if you will see in my case, what I have done is I have created one of these sample example of logging sample where I will use logger class of my log4j configured file. The another important thing that we have to keep it in mind is logger class, it is having its predefined methods like error, warning, trace, right? So these methods that is belongs to this class. So if you will just hover on this logger, Adelaide points out that it's nothing but a class of log4j, where I'm trying to get one of the logger which is nothing but a logging example, which is my class name. In the main method, it's not having any Selenium code, but I'm trying to attempt one of the text file to read, and the text file name is textfile.txt. So that is why I have performed input-output operation on it with file input stream. That is again a Java code where we are trying to attempt some text to read up to whatever the bunch of data will have in that Excel or TXT file. Once it is successfully reading each and every string pattern in the text file line by line, we are closing this. We are closing the file. By any means, if this file is actually causing the problem while input-output, it should throw the exception of file not found in the cache, or either the file is available but it is not able to successfully proceed for input-output operation in the cache, it should throw IO exception. So that is why if you will see here, in the cache, I am setting the logger if file is not available. Let's say file not found. By any means, if any warning is there also we are getting, then we can also store that as a warning with message, this is my warning message. So earlier, no doubt, if I will just run this without actually having the logger class, though it will just throw the error, but those error of a system generated exceptions which are available in the Java. But I want to store it in somewhere in the file. If a file is not able to perform input-output operation, then ideally we are putting the error with IO exception occurred. So far, in this example, in the D drive, I do not have any text file.txt available. So it will not able to perform or to read any sort of data available in that txt file. So preferably it will go into this cache where it is showing the exception file not found, and then preferably we'll see this error message which is available of error and the warning. So right now, if you will see in the logging example project, one package is there, class is there, log4j properties where I have just setting the properties of this logging example to create. That's it. Okay, so this is the standard hierarchy, and now I'm running this class with right click, run as Java application. You can think in a higher way with the Selenium example as well. Okay, so now if I will just run this, I can see that it is showing some messages over here in the console itself. That is, we got the error on the logging example 24th line. So let me show that what exactly on the 24th line we have. That is file not found. I can see that no such file is available over there. That is why it is throwing it. Warning on the 25th means file is not found, and also this is somewhat a warning that we have as it is not able to invoke that file and to perform. So on this logging example now, if I'll refresh by doing a right click and then I'm performing refresh, then it will automatically create this log folder where the way by which I was showing earlier, the same log file is get created, that is tracelog.log, where if I click, all the information is get highlighted. So if I just see the results of the console versus whatever it has captured into the log4j log file, it's quite being the same, but the pattern is still quite elaborative. Let's say we got the current time and the date, right? And also rest is quite being the same because I use a layout as console. If you will see in the log4j properties file of mine, I have used root logger as info, console, r. But if you are usually using file, then whatever the layout that you are setting, that you can modify. The hierarchy that is going to be defined to open up the file or create automatically, that you can set up in the log4j properties over here, where I notify .logs and then also the file name, that is -log.log. Clear? So this how, in case there will be a chance where you want to just define the log in a separate file, that later on for our execution purpose we want to track, or someone has already executed a big framework and you want to see where exactly it is failing, then by this log to find you can better track it, rather going through the bunch of individual scripts one by one and to assure that which is get passed or which is get failed. So by any means, if the Excel is not able to available, or the Excel is missing or something and we are not able to read the data from the Excel, we'll better track that itself in the log with error or warning. Clear? Any doubt or query till now? Hello. All right. So moving further, the another example that we need to talk about is, what if in case I want to handle the situation where I am already having one of the database design, and then after from that database I want to just read the data, I want to just update the record into the database and all those. So the idea is about try to mapping your SQL Server database in WebDart script such way that you can directly update something, you can modify something and all those. So let's see. So starting with database implementation, first of all what we required is we need a fast database created. So I'm not sure like whether these things are quite okay with at your end, but I'm just going quickly that we need to download MySQL Server. Okay, from where we are downloading it, we'll create one of the demo SQL database where we'll have a predefined set of data on which we can apply the certain database queries. I'm not sure like how you people are good at database queries, but the basic queries are like select, insert into database, update, delete. We'll start with those. In case still you are having any bit complications available over there at your end with the database part, only for the SQL query, then you can use one of the quick website for queries, that is w3schools.sql. Hope that it will give you the getting quick started. All right. So once this queries will be there with us by which we want to perform some certain operation, and once I will have the database designed to the MySQL server, what other things is required? We require MySQL JDBC connector. That is the file, the way by which we can configure our database over there with our Selenium WebDriver. So again, we need some of the driver, and this is the driver that we can download and we can implement the way by which we are doing it of Apache PY and all those. So this is a connector /j, that is for the JDBC, and that file we have to configure somewhere. So what I have done it here, if you will see, first we'll see what if I want to read the data from the Excel file. I have not created any database physically, but just like earlier I have created, but I have, because of some issue in the SQL, I have removed it. So Workbench is there in the SQL, but I cannot able to launch it though. I cannot start it. It's online. I have just closed still a few of the MySQL components earlier. Right. So let's see on the script part like what exactly we need to do. So first of all, we need to notify a connection that is again the inbuilt configuration available, or I can say that jar file which we will configure over there, it will be available. Right now no connection is there. You will see that vice versa all the SQL related imports are appearing. This will appear once you are configuring that MySQL JDBC connector file. Statement, that is for what statement we want to execute. I have notified the URL so far, that is JDBC column MySQL on the local host. I will run my database, and this is my database name. To access that database, by default the default username is root, and the password whatever we are setting here. We are trying to invoke the class JDBC driver, and we are trying to see the instance, and also similarly that is my environment setup. So I'm just putting down the before test so that it will connect to the database. If by any means it is not able to connect with the database, it will simply throw the exception in the catch. In the actual @test, we are passing the connection object. So that was earlier we have used connection interface, which is available in the MySQL server file of jar, which we will configure. And then here I'm notifying its object. So same like WebDriver driver equal to new Firefox driver. This is connection object name equal to new and then connection. And I've created the get connection method of that class, which is having 3 arguments. The first is your database URL. The second is username. Third one is password. If not, it should throw the SQL exception by default. We are creating the statement. What sort of creating a statement? So we are creating the statement to apply into my database. That is, I am setting the name Daniel somewhere in the ID5. So one of the database already created where we'll have a bunch of record. So that is why I'm notifying the query like update user set name equal to question mark where ID is equal to something. Where I'm setting the string as Daniel, and for the second question mark I'm setting the string as 5. And then after once I'll notify the select star from user, it will show all the data available which recently updated. But make sure that once you will store a specific query in one of the variable, without fail execute it. So result set is also the another class available over there in the connection file, and this execute query is a function of that specific interface, and I'm passing the query that is required to execute. We need to print each and every data until unless it is available in the database, so we are printing all those. So that is why a small loop which will print whatever the bunch of records we'll have in the database. So make sure that your DB is created correctly. Right? These are the test environment setup thing or the prerequisite that DB should be there. Your database connection file, driver file should be downloaded, and then we will start using those predefined packages, I can say, and the classes available. The way also by which also we can read the data with the where. So I just want to track the data with where. So the same, this time I use with Smith. I use where clause. So just a slight variance and the modification in my database query, nothing else. The rest thing is quite being the same, if you will see. That is where clause I have added in my database query. So I'm not sure like how much you are good at. Are you guys are good at SQL part? Means can you write some basic queries? Just for a like understanding of mine, like whether if in case you have to handle the database with Selenium WebDriver, then how much you are comfortable with writing down the basic queries. Again, I'm saying that basic queries, not a big complex queries on tables. So you guys are okay? You can handle few? Okay, great. So that is again, I have just added one of the where keyword. Yeah, for other candidates also, right? I'm assuming that they are quite able to handle a basic query at least, like select, then a create table, like updating the data, deleting the data, dropping the table, and something like that. Okay. So the more you will have the control on the query, you can just design it accordingly. And lastly, we are kind of closing the connection. And the similar last example that we is like, what if I want to update the records? So I use update query. So it's all about query that I have changed. The rest code, it's quite being the same. See, instead of select, I have used update user set name equal to question mark where ID equal to question mark where. We are setting the name and its ID. Clear? Just take a look quickly and let me know if in case you have any query, please. All right. So yes, we are quite about to close this whole sessions or the training. In the tomorrow session, we'll see the grid and we'll also discuss on one of the small difference between maven versus int. All right. So far, like just make sure that you are just spending much time onto the practices. So by any means, if you require to have any doubts or something, you can come up with the doubts. Okay. All right. So let's meet tomorrow. We'll talk about the fourth component or the flavor of Selenium, that is grid, like how it help us to do the testing on a variety of platforms at the same time with the one single script, and then we'll see the maven versus int, that is for continuous integration.